Yes, we're back with the predicted. Well, it's not even called the predicted 11 anymore. It's called my team versus Burnley. Listen, I think it's a really good opportunity. I know Burnley are a bit of a bogey team, and yes, of course, they'll naturally come up against the West Ham side that are needing points to secure European football, and possibly maybe they fancy it a little bit. But you just feel that it's an opportunity for West Ham to revert to a back four. I've gone with a 4-2-3-1 in this instance because I do believe we can influence things particularly with our forward men, albeit we are missing some key personnel. We do have a nice bit of attacking talent that I think we can use to break down Burnley, who I believe will play slightly different to last time out. So there's no surprises that Lucas Fabianski therefore starts in goal. My only concern going into this one is Sean Dyche has looked at that Newcastle game where they overloaded the box from set pieces, used their physical presences in there, and Fabianski's made an error. And that's the only place that I would feel uncomfortable with Fabianski and maybe where Sean Dyche is going to target here. Generally speaking, though, naturally, of course, his shot stopping is fantastic. His one-to-one ability is good. I don't think he's going to be called upon too many times in those one-to-one instances because I don't believe Burnley are going to get in behind this West Ham defence too many times with the formation that we've got. Right back will be Vladimir Soufal, who I thought had a decent game against Chelsea. I think he's changed predominantly from what we've seen him in probably the first half of the season, getting forward, bombing on, particularly against Burnley last time out, to now being a little bit more conservative. I think you'd have to look at that in terms of us playing a back five at times, but I think he's well suited to playing a right back as well. The only problem I've got is where Burnley are going to possibly overload those areas if they can advance Peters further forward and Dwight McNeil becomes that 10. Is that going to pose a lot of questions to Soufal whether he goes to press out and we leave space in behind? But I don't really feel that, generally speaking, the Burnley have got the players to get in behind West Ham and take advantage of that space. So I think he'll be fine. And of course, naturally, he is our first choice right back. I'd have this man back in the heart of centre defence, Craig Dawson. I know people are a bit on the fence about him now because there's been a dip in form naturally since he's come into the club. But he played brilliantly against Chris Wood last time. I thought that type of game and this type of game on Monday will suit him a lot more in terms of Burnley's key threats being deliveries into the box and trying to get long balls into the likes of Chris Wood. You can rely on Craig Dawson to either sniff out the danger if they do get past him, because Chris Wood isn't the most mobile of players, or B, win that first ball and create that turnover very quickly. And West Ham can start to dominate possession and control the game a little bit more effectively. So he would come in for me in a back four. Angelo Ogbonna, again, our best centre-back for me. It's been great to see him back in the side. I think at Newcastle, possibly just getting used to things again and becoming match fit. But against Chelsea, I thought he was superb. I know people are talking about should he have brought Timo Werner down, and I've obviously answered that on the post-match with Dan. But I think he made a few decent tackles in those games, reads the game incredibly well. And that's what West Ham will have to be wary of. Whilst I think a lot of the play will be in front of us, dealing with those knockdowns from somebody like Chris Wood into Vidra. And I think these two, in terms of communication and aerial ability, are the perfect two to deal with it. Ben Johnson at left back. Creswell probably won't be fit. Masuaku's unlikely to be fit as well. So I'm happy to see Ben Johnson here. I think 1-to-1 is good. I know people are saying he's a bit raw and there's a mistake in him, but I do like the fact that he is composed in possession. I don't believe in this game too many times he's going to be troubled. If Burnley do try and trouble someone like a Ben Johnson, they are going to have to play a slightly higher line, and they are going to have to commit men forward, which would suit West Ham's game plan and personnel. And personally, I like him. I think he gets forward, he progresses the ball very well. Delivery off the left foot, clearly not as good as on his right foot. And next season, I've always said this, I would like to see him transition to become more of a natural second choice right back going forward. The defensive pivot of Mark Noble and Thomas Souček, and I've labelled them as this. Sometimes I go with Noble sitting deeper and Souček advancing a bit more. I know that particularly with the way that Burnley are going to push up someone like a Brownhill, if Wood drops a little bit deeper, if McNeil comes into those central areas, I think Mark Noble naturally is going to need a little bit of protection from that. The worry about Noble is, of course, his athleticism. Can he deal with the pressing? Can he deal with multiple men in those central areas and stop West Ham or one of the centre-backs having to go out and deal with that ball? That's a big question for me. So you're going to naturally need someone like a Thomas Souček dealing with those, putting out fires. And he's very good at that. I think he has probably missed Declan Rice more than a lot of these other players, even our centre-backs, because that relinquished him to get further forward and influence things a little bit more effectively. I think in recent weeks, possibly in terms of passing, he's been a little bit rash. That's just an observation for me. But the recovery tackles have still been there. But I just would like to see him, and I think we will see him in a much deeper position against Burnley. The attacking midfielders, again, look, in terms of personnel, there are no surprises here for me, but we'll touch on what I expect these players to play like. Pablo Fornals on the left-hand side, who I actually think is progressing and getting better on the ball. Off the ball, particularly against Burnley last time out, I thought he was really good pressing in terms of keeping the ball at important times, making the right passes. All of our attacking midfielders, to be honest, had a really good game last time out. But in recent weeks, in some of the bigger games where West Ham have had less of the ball, he's been more composed. And we haven't really seen him in the attacking third as much, and he hasn't really influenced things as many times as possibly we would have liked to, or possibly as much we would have become accustomed to. But he has played that really pivotal role, sometimes slotting back with Thomas Souček and Mark Noble and getting forward at the same time. And I hope in this game we see him in a bit more of an advanced role. Again, down that left, he's going to give Ben Johnson a little bit of protection if Burnley do want to play a slightly higher line or press West Ham a little bit further up. So that's, of course, naturally why he comes into that left-hand side of an attacking midfield three. The number 10 is Benrahma, who people have a lot of divisive opinions about whether he'll come good or not. But he did have a good game against Burnley last time out. I thought he was really effective, even when he was sitting behind or even sitting in front of the two midfielders for Burnley. His eye for a pass. He was actually very quick on the half turn as well. And that's what possibly we're going to need in this game, not only in terms of transition and him setting that and working with the wide attacking midfielders and almost that false nine in this 4-2-3-1, but equally at times when he can offer himself between those half spaces and really cause Brownhill and Westwood a few issues and get on the ball and push West Ham further up. If this West Ham attacking midfield three is effective enough, we will not have to push forward Soufal and Ben Johnson, and this game will be a lot more comfortable for the natural West Ham fan. The right-hand side of midfield, I've gone for Jarrod Bowen. Possibly people are surprised about that because I think Bowen's obviously played in that centre-forward role in recent weeks, and he looks really comfortable in that role, by the way, in terms of his movements, his understanding of the game, drawing fouls. He's added that to his game, which has been really important for West Ham, trying to sort of take the tempo and the pressure out of the game. But I think he comes onto the right-hand side for me, as I touched on earlier, with somebody like a Dwight McNeil, who will cause West Ham a few issues. Soufal, I mean, Dwight McNeil at times in that last game, no one was getting near him because of his close ball control. So Bowen, for me, is important in that sense defensively. And I also feel that Burnley will concede enough width for him to be involved a little bit more, to give us options going forward, to stretch Burnley's back four and possibly trying to break them down a little bit, because I think even in transition, when they're getting set, they become a bit compact and the spaces begin to reduce. So someone like a Bowen, for me, is primed to take advantage of those spaces. And then, of course, the man that we haven't mentioned yet, that will start if he's fit, as ever, Jesse Lingard. Jesse, for me, plays a false nine, possibly a bit more of a direct role, possibly because of the variability of his play. And that has been the issue in recent weeks in terms of when we come up against low block sides, can we break them down without a focal point like a Mikel Antonio? And it stood out like a sore thumb against Chelsea. Mikel Antonio was so important in that Burnley game and for a period of time, because he was coming deep, holding the ball up, allowing the attacking midfield players to get forward and pulling those centre-backs out of position. Now, that is a lot tougher for Jesse Lingard to do, because as good as he is in terms of progressive carries, keeping the ball, dribbling past men and creating shots on target from distance and within the box, it'll be easier to defend against ultimately. So I think you play him in that false nine role because I believe he can play on the shoulder a bit more. He's got naturally good movement getting in beyond the striker anyway when Mickey was playing. So that's something that we can utilise. But if Burnley are compact and they do sit in that low block, he can come between those half spaces, link up with Benrahma, and hopefully Fornals and possibly even Jarrod Bowen can give you a little bit of width and options in those attacking midfield areas that can pull them out of position. It will be really difficult. It will be really tough. And as ever, any side that doesn't have a natural number 9 or even a physical, quick, strong player that can play on that shoulder like Mikel Antonio, when you lose a player like that, your play has to adapt. But for me, in terms of the personnel in the positions that they're in, it gives us defensive security in the wide areas. Benrahma will benefit either A, from picking up passes and playing between the lines to Jesse when they're moving and they're trying to get back into their shape, or B, playing in those half spaces to force them out of position. And Lingard, naturally, if West Ham are in transition, will pick the ball up, carry it, and West Ham will be able to commit men forward and not lose any spaces or commit too many men forward for Burnley to exploit on the other end. So that, for me, is why I would pick this system. This is why I would pick these personnel. Let me know in the comment section. Do you agree with me? Make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the West Ham Way, naturally, if you're new. I'll be back on Monday evening for the watch along. This will be the last bit of your pre-match content. Usual suspects are back on Monday, 8:15 kickoff. So I'll be around 7:45, I believe. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.